Good evening, friends. Tonight we're going back to the Middle Ages. Become a living being, the little prince in the country house. You know? To become a worthy heir to the manor. It's like being the protagonist in a fairy tale. Much harder. Now dim the lights. Accompanied by bells. Let's enter tonight's story together. It's not dawn yet. You wake up. You're lying on a huge four-poster bed. Heavy wool fabric veins hang around. It's embroidered with your family's article. A lion that looks a bit malnourished. This bedman is not just for looking good. It's more like a room within a room. A fortress made of fabric. Is your last line of defense against the cold night wind. But even so. Your breath. Still huddled in the dark. Little white mist. It was pitch black. Really invisible. You blinked. Nothing changes in the horizon. Castle windows. It's not the kind of breadth we see today, large bright glass windows, but a narrow. A crevice in a heavy stone wall. It's not so much a window, more like a shooting hole. And it's not glass. It was oiled linen or parchment. Only a little blurry light and shadow can penetrate. By the way, invite Feng Shuan as a guest. So even during the day, the room is always groggy. You hear a little noise. In the dark, a shadow slid silently to the side of the road. That's your personal servant. William didn't even knock on the door. Because in this day and age, noble bedroom, it's not exactly a private space. William crouched down. Take a piece of gravel from the small belt you have with you. An iron sheet and some fire melts. He was tapping so skillfully. A few precious sparks pop out of the darkness. Ignite the fire. Soon a small flame lit up in his hand. He carefully moved him into the fireplace. Dry firewood that has been prepared. The flame slowly crept up the wood. The orange light instantly dispelled part of the meaning. It also outlines the outline of the room. Stone wall, wooden beam. The tapestry and the one in the corner holds you. Huge wooden box for changing clothes. This is the beginning of your day. No sunlight. No birdsong. Only the stone's cold breath. And a servant lit it for you. The fire that holds your body temperature. You tuck your head into the warm pillow. I know I can come back for a while. Until William gets your clothes ready. Little master, it's time to get up. William's voice was soft. But enough to get you out of the drowsiness. Pull it out completely. For example, the fire has already burned out. The room is warmer. But the process of getting dressed still seems like a long and complicated ceremony. You were barefoot, step on the pavement, cold slate floor of grass and vanilla. Carpets are an extremely luxurious item. Usually only hangs on the wall, to decorate and insulate from the cold. William has helped you put on the clothes you are going to wear today. Spread them out by the bed. You look at that pile of stuff. I don't feel like I'm getting dressed. More like assembling a complex machine. First, a linen shirt that fits snugly. It's the only thing you have on you. Clothes that are washed frequently. Medieval laundry methods. Extremely labor-intensive. Therefore, it is generally believed that as long as the body is clean, the outer layers can be worn for a few more days. Then the pants. But these pants are nothing like what we have today. It's a pair of loose Yama shorts. And then, you have to put on 2 separate long socks. Use string or cloth bags for these 2 socks. On the belt of the linen shorts. Then the top. A tight jacket. It fits perfectly. The purpose is to highlight you as a noble male. An athletic figure. The highlight of this dress is that it has a dense row of buttons. In the 14th century, buttons are also a trendy new technology. It is a symbol of wealth and status. Before that, most people's clothes are washed in bags. You patiently let William help you put more than 20 handmade buns. Buckle one by one. This process requires the cooperation of 2 people to complete. Finally, the shoes. You can't help but roll your eyes when you look at those shoes. Ridiculous between the toes. Like 2 daggers. These shoes were the top fashion item at the time. Length between shoes. Only based on your social status. The king's shoe room can be infinitely long. And you as a little candle word. The length is also long enough for you to go down the stairs. That's a big challenge. The sole purpose of these shoes. Just to announce to everyone. I'm so privileged that I don't have to do any physical work. Even normal walking requires caution. William helps you dress everything up. You feel yourself like onions wrapped in layers. Warm but also a little breathless. You did a little shoulder movement. It feels like wearing a soft suit of armor. All right. A new day. You are ready to play your part. Dressed neatly. Your first business of the day begins. Go to the chapel in the castle. Director Chen, follow your father. The mother and several relatives who also lived in the castle. Through the cold and dark corridors. Entering the same cold chapel. The church is not big. It's made entirely of stone. The sound has an ethereal echo in this room. The only decoration is stained vitrification above the altar. This is another manifestation of your family's wealth. It depicts a scene of martyrdom on the way. Light shines through stained glass. Cast a few mottled patches on the icy ground. Sacred light spot. Burning in the air. The smell of incense and candles burning. You notice the candles on the altar. They burn with very little smoke. Exuding a pot of faint sweet fragrance. This is a candle made of expensive beeswax. Is to show God and visitors the family's past. A low-key approach to the bride price. And the rest of the castle. Like the kitchen or the guardroom. They are all cheap. Butter candles made of animal fat. It emits thick black smoke when lit. And the smell of barbecue that has been left for 3 days. Your family kneels in the front row. Your knees are on the cold slate. Feeling the meaning crawl up the bone. And your mother? He knelt in a place specially prepared for him. On a velvet-upholstered stool. This reflects the medieval treatment of aristocratic women. A contradictory attitude. On the one hand, they are subordinate in public life. But on the other hand, as a continuation of the family bloodline, they are in the family again. Especially in religious life. Enjoy some special respect. The priest is already waiting at the altar. He was wearing a solemn cassock. Start chanting Islanders in Latin. You don't understand a word. For the vast majority of people at that time, Latin is a mysterious language. It is the exclusive channel between God and the clergy. You're just like everybody else, just mechanically follow the rhythm of the priest. 10 strokes on the chest. Stand up with your head down. Kneel down again. Faith is here. It's not so much an intellectual resonance. It's more of a physical exercise. The sensory experience. You feel the coldness of the stone. Listen to Shench who doesn't understand. Smell the aroma of beeswax. Look at the light and shadow of the glass. The process is serious. But your mind has drifted to the breakfast table. Guess if there will be honey this morning? Or just brown bread and egg beer? For a child. Half an hour morning guide. It feels like eternity. The morning guide is finally over. Your stomach also protested in due course. Out of the chapel. You almost trotted down the hall of the castle. Here is the heart of the entire castle. It's also where you eat. The hall is very high. The faded family flag hangs on the wooden beams of the roof. Huge woven blankets hang on the walls on either side. It depicts the hunting scene of your grandparents. At one end of the hall is a platform that rises above the ground. There is a long table on it. This is a table for you and your family. The adventure section of the lobby, rows of more humble benches and tables. For the nights in the castle. Used by attendants and senior servants. This strict arrangement. It happens every day. A silent opera of social hierarchy. You take your place. The servant immediately served your breakfast. Don't expect fried eggs, bacon, or milk cereal. The original meaning of the word breakfast is break the previous night's house. So the meal was very simple. The purpose is just to fill the stomach. Start the day at work. There is no plate in front of you. Instead, a thick piece of sliced dry old bread. This is your plate. You can put food on it. He absorbs the gravy and sauce. At the end of the meal. If you haven't eaten this bread yet. He is usually assigned the poor waiting at the castle gate, or throw it directly to the hounds scurrying underfoot. This is a very practical and wasteful tableware. The food is also very simple: a loaf of rye bread, piece of cheese, and a wooden glass with eggskin wine. Yes, beer. Even children drink it. Because in the Middle Ages, the sanitation of water sources is a concern. Drinking raw water is easy to get sick, and fermented beer, it's relatively safe. He was the king of Comegi at that time, a daily drink for all farmers. This light beer you drink, it's very low in alcohol. No fork on the table. Forks were in Europe at that time. It is believed to be of Italian origin. It's manly stuff. You grab the cheese and bread with your hands. Eat big. The only serving utensils on the table are spoons. For soup, everybody's got a knife. For cutting meat, servant. A small plate of spiced bacon was served. A rich aroma immediately filled the air. You quickly fix your breakfast. Wiped his hands and mouth with a linen napkin. The most important meal of the day. Dinner won't start until noon. The current food. Just to give you the strength to last until then. After breakfast, the hall didn't quiet down immediately. It got busier. The servants quickly cleared the table. And your father, the lord of this manor, he sat on his highest seat in the middle of the platform. The most magnificent chair. He begins the most important task of the day. Handle manor affairs. Or Lin Zhu's office hours. You are allowed to sit on a bench nearby. This is part of your education. You watch. All kinds of people were summoned to appear before your father. Butler Manor bailiff. Dianhu representative, even from nearby villages. Farmers who came to ask for a ruling on the dispute. Your father's role is much more than just a landlord. He is the embodiment of the law here. He was going to adjudicate land disputes between neighbors. Like whose sheep ate who? Home crops. He's trying petty crimes like theft. The decision is a fine, or put prisoners in the dungeon of the castle. He also has to listen to the housekeeper's report, understand the income and expenditure of the manor, decided it was time to renovate the mill this year, or should it be the castle, stock up on winter food. You see the housekeeper holding a few odd-shaped sticks. Return the favor to your father. It's not some mysterious staff. It's a kind of accounting tool called driftwood. Debt was carved into sticks. Or a dent in the tax amount. Then split the stick in two. The debtor and the creditor are each worth half. When it is necessary to check, just put the two halves together. Just see if the gram marks match. This was a situation in an era when the illiteracy rate was very high. Very intuitive and hard to counterfeit shortcut system. Do you think this priest teach you to write those squiggly Roman numerals? Much more interesting. There is a store today. Was brought up because he couldn't pay the rent. He knelt before your father, tearfully explaining that his cow had died of disease. Chen Zhen was affected. Your father listens with a blank face. Fingers tapping on the arms of the chair. You don't know how he will judge. Would be kind enough to waive his rent. He will still be cruel to him and his family. Drive away from the land. This is the core of the feudal system. The interweaving of rights and obligations. In theory, your father has an obligation to protect his store, provide them with land and security. In return, the shopkeepers have to pay him rent. Pay off and fight for him in times of war. But where is the balance in this relationship? Lingzhu Court. To what extent is it maintaining a promise the justice of the layman? To what extent is it just a spirit bead, a tool to unilaterally strengthen one's own rights? It's hard to articulate. And finally, your father decided to grant the electric kettle 3 months, but asked his son to come. Chen Bao's horse will do 1 more MAU. As compensation, the shopkeeper left with 1,000 thanks. You look at the majestic profile of your father, the first vague realization. One day, the traces of thousands of people in Chenbai will be on your shoulders. It feels a little heavy. It's kind of exciting. After attending my father's morning meeting, it's your own compulsory course. Night training. You bid farewell to the warm hall, heading towards the castle's training ground. There is no little prince here. Only a trainee knight who must be sweating profusely. The road to becoming a knight is long and arduous. From the age of 7 or 8, noble boy like you will be sent to another lord's castle. Same in the world. Learning etiquette and dress. By the age of 14 or 15, you will become a squire, responsible for caring for a knight's armor and horses, and follow him into battle. Only by showing extraordinary courage on the battlefield, or after years of service. Only then can you be officially classified as a knight. Your training today is to practice swordsmanship and use a spear. Your coach, one with a scar on his face, the taciturn old knight, let you first the same life-size scarecrow pair. The wooden sword in your hand is much heavier than you imagine. Just repeating the chopping motion, it makes your arm ache very quickly. Then came the more challenging project of hitting Quintan. This is a wooden mannequin. At one end is a shield. There was a sandbag on the other end. You have to ride a horse, handheld long hair, full speed to him, and hit the shield accurately. If you're too slow or you don't aim enough, spinning sandbag, I will give you a hard look behind your back. You have been taught a lesson by him several times. That's not very pleasant. You get on your pony. Take a deep breath. Legs clip. The horse starts trotting. Then accelerate. You try to flatten the long hair. Aim for the shield with the grimace painted on it. Bang all over. You did it. The long hairy tip pokes accurately in the center of the shield. You zip past him. The sandbags behind me just whistle. I wiped your cape. You couldn't help laughing smugly. The old knight was expressionless. Just pointed to a pair on the shelf next to it, small chain mail. Put it on again. He said that the pike armor woven from thousands of little iron rings, at least a dozen kilograms. You were once curious. Try to lift the plate armor worn by old knights. The weight is hopeless. A complete set of plates weight can reach 25 to 30 kilograms. It weighs as much as a child. People often assume that knights wear heavy armor. It's clumsy. But actually, someone who can wear him to fight must be super physical fitness experts. You were gasping for air while thinking about mincing those graceful in the poet's ballad. Knight fighting for lady. Do they really exist? You look at your blistered hands. I feel that reality may be much rougher than in the ballad. The hard training finally came to an end in the afternoon. To relax. Also to add food to the dinner party. Father has decided to bring you and some guests to carry out one of the most expensive, family-friendly entertainment. Falcon, you guys are riding. Leaving the castle in a mighty manner. To an open meadow outside the manor. On everyone's arm. Wearing thick leather gloves. Standing proudly above is a hunting bamboo shoot or a fly. You also have one of your own. It's a relatively young bamboo shoot. It's called fengjian. Falconry was more than just a sport at the time. It is a complex and sophisticated art, is also a status symbol. Nobles of different ranks, only certain species of raptors can be used. For example, the emperor used fine carving, king with hair loss. And for a little lord like you, it is just right to use it at a loss. Own a trained bird of prey. And build specialized housing for them. In society is a big expense. Father's British official blew a specially made whistle. Signal everyone to start. You carefully untie the straps on Plump's feet. Take the leather blindfold off his head. Recover the richness of light. He immediately shook his feathers with excitement. Rueli's eyes scanned the sky. Pretty soon, a hare startled in the grass in the distance. Too late, too soon. You raise your arm forward. Drink it down and make a clear name. Holding it for a while is like a sword off the string. Soaring into the sky, he circled in the air. Locked on the target in an instant, then fold the wings. At an almost vertical angle. Dive down at high speed. All you see is a gray lightning bolt across the sky. Then, I heard a short and rough scream from the grass. It's all over now. You ride over. Seeing the wind blade proudly stepping on his prey. Waiting for your reward. From the preserved egg at your waist. Take out a small piece of jerky and feed it to him. And gently stroked his feathers. Look at the raw, wild scenes of power and speed. You feel more excited than ever. It's nothing like a dry batch on the training ground. In fact, medieval hunting, not just an extension of the military training of the aristocracy, and an important way to socialize, also at that protein source. Not always so rich. Game from hunting. For the table commanded to dwell, it also plays a crucial economic role. You bring your prey in your hunt. The eagle set out on the way back to the castle contentedly. You know, at the dinner table tonight, there will be a dish you won back with your own hands. When you return to the castle with the stressed Chingua, the hall is already filled with greetings. The lively atmosphere of the meal. In the 14th century, the most important thing of the day, the most sumptuous meal is at noon. Rather than at night, the evening meal is usually much simpler. The hall was crowded with people. The aroma of barbecue mixed in the air. The smell of burning firewood. The laughter of the people and the barking of the hounds. The poet Yen Yu is already sitting in the corner, pulling his lute. Warm up for this feast. You and your family are still sitting at the main table on the high platform. Servants carrying silver basins and rivers and lakes, lying down to watch for every nobleman of the upper clan. Washing your hands before meals. It's not just about hygiene. It's an important ceremony. Symbolizes evolution and respect for fellow diners. The dishes were served like flowing water. A simple difference from breakfast. This dinner is sumptuous and tender. Whole peacocks roast on a huge baking sheet. The chef even cleverly put the peacock's gorgeous feathers, redecorated back. Make him look alive. And roast wild boar, stewed venison, all kinds of meat steaks sprayed with expensive spices. Very few vegetables. Because people at that time believed that underground root vegetables. It was farmers' food. And noble meat is the meal of the elite. In front of you is a silver cup. Filled with wine from France. In front of your father, there is an extremely beautiful, a ship-shaped vessel made of gold and francs. This thing is not used to hold vegetables. It's a rock tank with a very single function. Salt was an important strategic material and antiseptic at that time. The medicine is very precious. It is expensive to use such gorgeous utensils to hold salt. It is the most direct display of the owner's identity and wealth. The atmosphere of the banquet is at its height. The hall door was pushed open. A clown in fancy clothes somersaulted in. He told vulgar jokes, imitating the manners of the nobles present, got everyone laughing. In this age without television and the internet, these live performances are the ultimate entertainment. You cut a piece of venison with a knife. On your bread plate. Dip it in a rich sauce and eat it. Heavy taste. Spices and gravy mixed together. It hits your taste buds. A full meal can last for hours. He doesn't just eat. It's a complex social event. A show of power and a feast for the senses. You took a sip of sweet wine. Feeling a little tipsy. The noise seems to be getting a little further away from you. After a noisy dinner, castle entered a relatively quiet afternoon. But that doesn't mean you can take a nap. For you, it's class time. Your teacher is no one else. It's the army priest in the castle. He's one of the few people here who can read and write. Your classroom, in a small room next to the chapel. Dim light. Only one candle moves on the table. The priest asked you to sit down. Take out today's school supplies. No paper and pen. Paper was around. But it's still an expensive luxury. More commonly used is parchment. It's made of animal skin, and it's processed through a complex writing material. Extremely durable, but also extremely expensive. The price of a handwritten book, it's like a small farm. Therefore, for daily practice, you are using an older. It's also a more economical tool. This is a shallow wooden basket, filled with dark beeswax. You can use a metal or bone pencil. Write on it. The other end of the pencil is flat. Can be like an eraser. Smooth out the wrong handwriting. Such a wax plate can be used repeatedly. Very convenient. Today's lesson is in Latin. The priest asked you to copy an island passage from the Bible. You're saying words you don't fully understand, while laboriously carving letters on the wax plate. For a noble son like you, learning Latin is a must. Because he is the church. the official language of law and diplomacy. In addition, you will also learn some basic arithmetic. In order to be able to read the estate's accounts in the future, study some articles, so that on the battlefield, can recognize the flags of both sides. And of course, there was a lot of religious instruction. The whole learning process is rather boring. The priest is strict. If you make a mistake or get distracted, he will hit your palm with a ring without hesitation. You sneak a glance out the window. Saw a few kitchen helpers chasing around in the yard. You kind of envy them. A nobleman like you can get an education. Already a privilege. The vast majority of people in society at that time, many of those at the bottom, are illiterate. You sigh. Pay attention. Concentrate on the crooked Latin on the wax plate, on the letter. You know these boring facts. Like advice on the training ground. They are the tools for your future survival and the same job. You have to master them. Whether you like it or not. An hour of Latin reading will make your head spin. The priest finally sent it to Shangxi. Let you take a break. Yu Taoya Temple left that dreary little room. Came to a rare place in the castle. Places full of life gardens. The gardens of the castle are usually surrounded by high walls. It's for safety. It also creates an isolated, peaceful private space. Here's the kind of careful trimming you imagine. The French garden. It's completely different. He is more of a pragmatist. And a mixture of romanticism. The garden is divided into several areas by a low fence. Part of it is a vegetable garden, growing cabbage, onions and beans, providing fresh vegetables for Qinbao's kitchen. The other part is the fragrant grassland. It's full of all kinds of things. A plant with a rich aroma. Rosemary, thyme, lavender, sage. They are not just the spices in the kitchen. It is an important reserve in Qinbao's pharmacy room. There was basically bloodletting. And the age of prayer. These herbs are for minor ailments, the main reliance of minor pain, and the center of the garden. It's a place for pleasure. The regions that exist. Here is a path paved with stones. Roses and lilies are planted on both sides. There is also a small fountain in the center. Your mother and her maids, sitting on a stone bench by the fountain, while doing needlework, while talking as a stand-in. In that country, women were strictly confined to the family. Of the field. Closed gardens like this mean a lot to them. Where this concept is derived from the Bible, symbolizes the purity of the Virgin Mary. So the garden became a protected area. A feminine space. Here it is. They can temporarily escape the male-dominated, the hustle and bustle of the castle hall. Enjoy a moment of peace. Sharing their own secrets and gossip. You went over to greet your mother. He smiles and touches your head. Let you go and pick some roses to decorate tonight's table. You are careful. Walking through thorny rose bushes. The air is filled with the fragrance of flowers, herbal or earthy fragrance. You are holding a small bouquet of bright roses, feeling tired from learning Latin just now, all healed by this little green world. The afternoon sun softens. Your father decides, take you on a tour of the manor's territory. It's not just a walk. It's a field trip to your future territory. It was a pivotal moment in your education. Your riding, guarded by a small group of armed attendants, leaving the confines of the castle through the drawbridge. I suddenly brightened up. At the foot of the castle is a small village. Dozens of thatched roofs. Houses dusted with wood or dirt. Deep dung in the air. The smell mixed with cooking smoke. And beyond that, there's huge tracts of farmland. You see the fields, is divided into many long strips of land. Green crops grow on some plots. Some are empty. There are a few cows grazing leisurely on it. Your father told you. So this is a 3-day crop rotation. The farmers would divide the land into 3 parts. Part of spring planting. Part of the fall planting. There's some root trimming. To restore geography. This is a kind of very advanced agricultural technology at the time, greatly increased food production. Feeding more people. You see many men and women in the fields. Working hard. They are the serfs of this land. They're not trying. Cannot be bought or sold. But they are also not free to leave this land. They are here. It grows here. I will be your father for the rest of my life, and your future farming. In return, they were given a small piece of land to support themselves and their families, and protected by the castle. Your father points to a small hill in the distance. Tell you, the shopkeepers turned in 100 eggs a year, and 2 chickens for rent, and another piece of land near the river, in addition to watering wheat, and serve a week in your father's army every year. These various feudal obligations. Some of them are very strange. For example, sing a song for the Lord on a certain festival, or during harvest season, offer a day of hauling dung bandit mansion. These are centuries-old agreements. The rules of the layman. You look at the farmers hunched over in the hot sun. They are clothed. Wrinkles carved by wind and frost on his face. When you ride past with your father, they stop doing what they're doing, take their hats off and bow. You have a mixed feeling inside. You know the gorgeous clothes you wear. Plenty of food on the table. The tall stone walls of the castle. Everything. It all comes from the hard work of these people. The system looks solid. But were the serfs really completely resigned? Although large-scale peasant uprisings are uncommon, but in the Manor's court records. But it is full of evidence of all kinds of soft resistance. Shopkeepers will be busy with time and strength, quarrel with the housekeeper, or secretly chopping firewood in the lord's territory. Poaching. They are in a system that seems unshakable. Strive to fight for yourself. Take even the slightest bit of living space. The setting sun draws your shadows long. You look back at the fortified castle in the distance. Look at this vast and flat land in front of you. The first time I felt it so clearly. There is an invisible, but an incredibly strong bond. Bind them tightly together. When you return to the castle, the sky has started to fade. The guards salute you at the city gate. Heavy suspension bridge, slowly lowered in the creaking chain rope. Let you pass. Enter the gate behind the castle. A huge iron fence crashed down. The castle is completely cut off from the outside world. Here you go up the spiral stone ladder. Climb the castle walls. The evening breeze blows on your cheeks. Bring a touch of coolness. You hold on to the promise and look down. You can see the whole estate and village. This moment. The castle is no longer a home, but a sophisticated and ruthless war machine. Your father's captain of the castle guard is also here. He's checking the guard's post. He saw you and came over with a smile. Start explaining to you the fortifications of the castle. He points to the small holes above the city gate and tells you. It's called a murder hole. If the enemy breaks through the first gate, the defenders can then pour down through these openings. Piping hot water. Hot kill or archery. He showed you the towers protruding from the city walls again. Explain that such a design can eliminate the dead end of defense. Allows archers to attack those from the flanks. Enemies attempting to climb the city walls. The whole castle is like a spike. Thorn hedgehog. Every shot is filled with deadly joss. You stand on the city wall. Feel the stone beast. Breathing in the twilight. He brings you an unparalleled sense of security. But at the same time, these complex fortifications also make you realize the danger is real. Perhaps from a neighboring ambitious lord. Perhaps a sign from the king. The shadow of war has always hung over this land. Tapped you on the shoulder for the captain. Say, little master. One day, you will be the commander here. You look at the last touch of sunset on the distant horizon. Praying silently in my heart. I hope that day comes later. Nightfall. The castle was once again lit with a warm fire. And the swaying dawn. After a simple dinner, the people in the hall did not disperse immediately. There are no books there. The age without the internet. Entertainment at night. Movement is especially precious. We have a special guest at the castle today. A minstrel with a lute on his back. He was a roving entertainer. By shuttling between castles and towns. Storytelling. Sing narrative poems in exchange for room and board and a few bounties. For the inhabitants of the castle who were cut off from time, he brings news from afar. Novel discoveries and moving legends. He sat in the best seat by the fireplace. Pick the strings gently. Start with a cadenced tone. Tell a story about King Arthur. And the ancient story of the Knights of the Round Table. He spoke of the bravery of Knight Lancelot. Speaking of the beauty of Queen Guinevere. Talking about the love that advanced between them. And everybody was fascinated. You see the usual unsmiling captain of the guard. My eyes are wide open now. Fear of missing a single detail. Even the humblest helper in the kitchen. He also quietly stuck his head out from behind the door. Greedy points. Enjoy this story that belongs to everyone. The poet's memory is amazing. His verbatim. Recite epics that run thousands of lines. In an oral culture where printing had not yet spread, memory is a kind of experience. Highly trained and respected memory. Some people even believe that, at that time, people would use a method called the ancient technique of memory palace. Through the mind, create a familiar virtual space, like a castle, and will require memorized information to a specific location in space. It memorizes huge amounts of content. You curled up next to your father's chair. The fire from the fireplace is imprinted on your face. Warm. The poet's voice is sometimes high, sometimes low. It pulls you completely into that magical world. The kingdom of Carmelo of honor and tragedy. You fantasize about becoming an original knight. Holding a holy sword, to slay the dragon to find the Holy Grail. The story comes to an abrupt end at the most exciting place. The smile at the poet's feet said, "That's all for today. We'll talk about the rest tomorrow." There were sighs of regret in the hall. Your father was satisfied to be rewarded with a few silver coins. You yawn. The exhaustion of the day came up. It's time to go to bed. Led by servant William. You went back to your bedroom. The fire in the fireplace has been refilled with wood. Make the sound of a lute. The room is much warmer than in the morning. There is a fixed routine to go before going to bed. First and last prayer. You will kneel by the bed. Recite a short evening island. Thank God for a safe day. And pray to Him in the long night. Protect your soul. Freedom from the devil. For medieval people, the night is dangerous. It's not just physical. More threats from the supernatural world. Prayer is an essential mental barrier before falling asleep. Then a simple wash. William brought a basin of warm water, and a silver basin. You dip a piece of linen in water. He carefully wiped his face and hands. Medieval hygiene practices. It is often misunderstood by modern people. Think they never bathe. Dirty. It's a form of prejudice. Historians point out that, although it is like ancient Rome, gone are the big baths. But rich nobles still bathe regularly. There are usually special wooden baths in castles. The servants would pour hot water in buckets and buckets. Only, preparing a hot bath is very expensive. So it won't happen every day. But every day with a lying pot. Wash face and hands. But it is the basic interest of high society. As for ordinary civilians, they have really bad sanitation. Much more, so there was a debate about how dirty the Middle Ages really were. A lot depends on you. What social hierarchy are we talking about when you wash up? William is doing something very important. He was holding a long-handled, a brass utensil resembling a pan, filled with incandescent taken from the fireplace, hot fish mirror. He called this bed warmer paint. Tucked between the bedding on your bed. Sliding back and forth. Cold damp sheets. Immediately baked warm and dry. It's one of the great inventions of the Middle Ages. It is also the moment you look forward to the most every day. And then finally, you take off your complicated day clothes. Put on a loose linen nightgown. Get into the warm bed. William will help you put the four-poster bed. Heavy beds are sold and put down one by one. You are completely wrapped in this warmth. In a dark little space. He stepped back quietly. There are only walls left in the room. The glimmer of the firewood burning in the stove and the condor. You lie on a soft feather pillow. Feeling tired from the day, drown you like a tide. From the cold morning to the warm moment. The day was long and full. You close your eyes, ready to fall asleep. The bed slowly isolates the outside world, but not the sound. When you lie in the dark, hearing becomes extremely acute. The castle's night symphony start ringing in your ears. You hear the wind howling through the mouth of the city wall. The deity is like a giant sigh. You hear the wooden beams in the attic, sound due to temperature changes. It's as if the whole castle is gently stretching its muscles and bones. From the horse in the distance came the occasional sighing of the horse. And in the courtyard, when the guard in charge of the homepage changes positions, the armor emits a slight collision god. They would ring the bell every hour. Or shout the time. This is to reassure the people in the castle. It's also to remind them to stay awake. These sounds don't disturb you. Instead, it has a peculiar hypnotic effect. They're the big lullabies you grew up hearing. It's the living sound of making a stone fortress. Your consciousness starts to blur. Images of the day flash through my mind. Latin recited by the priest. Quintan was hit on the training ground. The heroic dive of a falcon. Ancient legends told by poets. They gradually mix and transform. Became the stuff of dreams. In the Middle Ages, people are full of awe and curiosity about dreams. They don't think that dreams are just random activities of the brain, while see it as a message from another world. There were a lot of popular dream books. We'll explain in detail the dream of different things, like snakes flying or losing teeth. What does it portend? A dream can be interpreted as a prison for God. It may also be seen as the temptation of the devil. Your dreams are not entirely your own. You start thinking. Everyone living in the castle. What kind of dream are you having at the moment? Did your father dream of war and water harvesting? Did your mother dream of distant relatives? The dozing helper in the kitchen. Did you dream of the never-ending steak? The castle bells rang again. The sound is long and dull. You turned over. Put your face in the pillow. Those about history. Responsibility and heavy thinking for the future, they all fade away with the deepening of drowsiness. You are just a child who has been tired all day. Need a good sleep. Good night, 14th century Little Prince.